what I wanted to discuss is unconditional love. Unconditional love is the concept, of course, that unconditional boundaries was built to support. As I was mentioning to Mona, I've discussed unconditional love with many friends over the years, over the decades of my life, and there's a lot of people that either A, don't believe in it, or B, actually believe it's a bad thing to love somebody unconditionally. And so I wanted to talk about that concept a little bit because I created unconditional boundaries to support unconditional love. Because unconditional love does not mean that whoever you're loving can do whatever the hell they feel like. Unconditional love does not mean unconditional permission to treat me however you want to treat me. Unconditional love does not mean I'm going to forgive you for anything you do. I mean, I should do that. I think that's a good thing to do anyway, but that's not what unconditional love is. Unconditional love means I'm going to love you no matter what. But love does not mean stay entwined in your life. I can love you from a distance. I can love you with some barriers in our relationship. I can love you with some restrictions on how we interact. I can love you unconditionally. There's nothing that will change my love for you. But there are things that can change how I act towards you or how I allow you to act towards me. There are things that can change my actions without changing my love. And the reason I created unconditional boundaries is first to understand that when you put up boundaries in the traditional sense, the way we've been doing it for a few decades now, those often break love. They break relationships. They often put up walls and barriers and create space in relationships. So the way we were creating boundaries before were harming relationships rather than building them. And unconditional love isn't designed to harm relationships. It's designed to have pure relationships. Now, we're human beings, so purity isn't something we can actually achieve, but it's something we can aim for, right? So how do we love unconditionally in a relationship? Well, you use unconditional boundaries. You send out a few bridges, you send out some invitations, you invite them to connect on a few topics that you share, a few values that you share, maybe some interests. You invite them to connect in certain ways. And in the ways that you do connect, that becomes the basis for your relationship. And then you connect further on deeper relationships, and yet further on even deeper relationships. And eventually you become so close that there's little standing between the two of you. You might even be romantically involved, but you might just be friends. You might be really close friends. You might even be family or coworkers or something else. Partnerships, business partnerships can be this close. The idea, though, is we only become close on those things that we share, those values and interests that we share. Those things that we don't share don't need to be a part of our relationship. It's not unconditional to make everything that I am a part of every relationship I have. I can have a business partnership where I'm not having sex with that person. Sex is not a part of our relationship, right? I can have a romantic relationship where I'm not sharing my business dealings, right? I can have a friendship where we don't necessarily go out and eat together, right? So this is the idea of unconditional love. Unconditional love means I love you regardless of what happens. It means that no matter what happens in our relationship, I will love you and I will choose to do loving things with you and for you. I may change which things I do. I may change the choices I make, but I will always choose to do loving things. So I wanted to clarify what unconditional love is. From a theological sense, from a faith sense, God's unconditional love, God's love for us is unconditional. We all know that. But a lot of us don't even know what that feels like. And I was reminded of this because I was at a conference, a Christian conference this weekend, where that was the topic of the conference, the Father's unconditional love for us. So it made me want to made me want to talk about unconditional love in this class and just discuss it and bring it up a little bit. So it's a kind of love that few people really understand. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit and explain it a little bit.